We are here with Doomwake, content creator extraordinaire, streamer, YouTuber. You know him, you love him. Magic the Gathering content creator is gonna rate some Yu-Gi-Oh cards today. We're gonna do 3 different archetypes, 5 cards from each archetype. You are going to rate whether it is good right now, used to be good, but is no longer good, or has never been good. And by good, I mean like, you know, tier 1 deck.
Yeah, we don't want to get those YouTube commenters telling us that actually this deck was good at one point.
Exactly. I beat this one content creator. I beat Farfa with this deck, so that means it's good. It's good in Master Duel. Okay, we're talking about paper Yu-Gi-Oh. Doomwake, how much Yu-Gi-Oh experience do you have?
I played a little bit of competitive all the way back in the day, like 02, 03. I was talking to you about the Chaos Emperor Dragon Yadalock deck. That was like the first competitive deck that I really ever played. And then once I started getting into junior high school, that's kind of when I sold out my Yu-Gi-Oh collections, kind of switched to Magic. And then I really didn't touch the game up until June or July of last year, when I really got deep in the weeds onto Edison. And I've been playing a lot of Edison since then. So I mentioned that to you, and you had maybe had a couple of Edison cards on your list, and we had to maybe remove those and swap those out for different ones. So a lot of Edison, maybe a lot of like really old school stuff, but you know, from 2011-ish onwards till about now, my knowledge is a little bit less so.
You're gonna kind of internalize what the archetype is would do, like kind of what they would do with their end board and everything like that, how the deck's supposed to function, and then after all 3 archetypes, let me know whether you think it's which one of them was in which category. Before we get started, I have some big news. I have just started a Patreon. So if you would like to help out the show monetarily, if you have that available to you, or you would even like to be a part of the show yourself, join my Patreon. The link is in the description below.
All right, got it.
Starting.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
You're ready? You're pumped. Starting with.
Kind of ready.
You're pumped. Starting with.
I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, but I'm going to try. It's Nordic Relic Hlidsgelf, something like that.
Can I give you what I think the name is? And if you're a Nordic person or know a Nordic language in the comments, let us know. Like if I'm pronouncing this wrong too. I'm gonna think that it's Hlidsgelf.
Yeah, Hlidsgelf, because like the H and the J are probably silent, something like that.
Like Hlidsgelf, and well, J is usually like a Y, right?
Oh yeah, true. Okay, yeah, Hlidsgelf.
I'll go with that. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it is a spell card. It says special summon 1 Nordic monster from your deck, but you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Acer monsters while that monster is face up on the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add a Nordic monster from your deck to your hand, then shuffle 1 card from your hand into the deck. You can only use 1 Nordic Relic H effect per turn and only once that turn. We're going to just shorten it to H for now, because I don't want to embarrass myself. Okay, so as far as, you know, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra except Acer monsters, that's kind of sort of a red flag, where it really depends on how good the Acer extra deck monsters are, which, you know, I'm not 100% sure exactly how good those are. And then it's while that monster is face up on the field. So, okay, so you special a Nordic, and then while that Nordic remains face up on the field, you can't special summon from the extra deck except Acer monsters. But if that monster leaves the field, then I'm assuming this restriction no longer applies then.
Right. And
then you can banish this card from your graveyard, add a Nordic from your deck to your hand, then shuffle a card from your hand into the deck. Okay, so it kind of like sort of looting, right? Where you banish this, you search for a Nordic, and then you put 1 card back. So it's kind of like, I guess, rummaging is maybe a better way to put it.
It's like worse rummaging, right? Because you have to shuffle the card back in the deck instead of discarding it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this card, depending on how good the Nordic cards are, this card could be pretty good, because what's nice about it is there's no level restriction. Like, it's not level 4 or lower. Assuming there's some big giant Nordic monster that does anything, then you can just get that from the deck, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, I'm assuming this is probably a big part of the archetype, but as far as, you know, we'll maybe have to see what the rest of these Nordic relic cards do, or Nordic cards.
Speaking of the rest of the Nordic relic cards, let's look at this one.
Okay, this one is Nordic Relic Svalin. That one's a little bit easier to pronounce. Nordic Relic Svalin. Go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
This is a continuous trap card. If you control an Acer monster, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. That's kind of cool. Until the end of this turn period, you contribute a Nordic monster, then target an Acer monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use one Nordic Rarran spell and effect per turn, and only once that turn. Okay, so if you have an Acer, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls, which is pretty important because a lot of these kind of blanket type of effects, if I'm remembering correctly, they maybe only reference monsters. But what's cool about this one is negating the effects of all face-up cards, which means I'm assuming, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say they activate a normal spell card and you chain this, that would stop the normal spell card, right? Even if it's not a continuous.
Correct.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. It's like a pretty, it's kind of like what do they call those? Type of negate, omni negate.
Yeah.
Just kind of cool. Till the end of this turn, and then you contribute a Nordic, target an Acer in your grave, special summon it. Okay. So if I'm, if I'm assuming the Acer monsters are kind of the extra deck stuff, and the Nordic is the main deck stuff. So if you get like, special summon one of your Acers from the extra, and then that ends up dying, you can use this to tribute maybe a smaller Nordic and get that Acer back. So, I mean, it seems pretty powerful. Again, I'd like to see what maybe some of the monsters are, but I kind of like this card.
All right, you said you want to see some monsters. Let's give you a monster.
Yeah, let's take a look at some monsters.
Take a look at some monsters.
I wonder,
Yug?
I wonder how much more difficult the names are going to be to pronounce.
It's a little. I think the first one's going to be the hardest.
Nordic Beast, Gullen Bursty. Okay.
At least that rolls off the tongue better than H.
Yeah, it's smooth. There's no silent. There's no silent letters here. There's no tricks with this name, as it were. We have a level 3 Beast Tuner, 300 in attack and 100 defense. Okay, there's a lot of words here. You're testing. You're gonna make me need new glasses after this. It says for a synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any one Nordic tuner. You can only use each of the following effects of Nordic Beast Gullen Bursty once per turn. This card is normal or special summon. You can special summon a Nordic from your hand. You can target a Nordic in your graveyard, except itself. Add it to your hand. Okay, let me read that again. Now I'm confused. Okay, synchro summon, you can substitute this card. Too many words. Yeah, too many words. So for a synchro, you can substitute this card for any Nordic tuner. Okay, that's like kind of cool because, you don't need... well, I mean, see, now... Hold on a second. For a synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any one Nordic tuner, but it is a Nordic tuner.
Well, what I should say is that there's Acer monsters that need Nordic beasts, and then like this is a Nordic beast Gullen Bursty. There's different kind of Nordic X cards, so this can be any one of those.
Got it. Okay. So the Acer monsters, do they specifically call out like Nordic Beast X or Nordic Beast Y?
No, it's like any Nordic beast or any Nordic other thing.
Got it. Okay. So, and then you can only use each of the following effects of this once per turn. If this card is normal or specialed, you can special a Nordic from your hand. And that's a period. Okay, so special, if this is normal or special, you can special a Nordic from your hand, which is kind of cool because it's like, free material. And then you can target a Nordic in your graveyard, accept itself, add it to your hand. Okay, so that's once it's on the field, you can, take a monster from your graveyard, add it to your hand. Okay, cool. I mean, tuners that allow you to special an additional monster from your hand, I'm assuming are pretty good because like you just, like say normal summon this level 3 tuner, you have a level 4 in your hand or, something like that. You just special that level 4 and that just makes a 7 synchro immediately. So, I mean, it seems pretty powerful. And then the fact that you can substitute it for any name means that you don't need like there's probably a wider range of things that you can special summon once you've summoned this plus a dude. So I mean, it seems pretty powerful. I think this card reads pretty good to me.
All right, well, let's see another card that I think will, I think will challenge your brain a little bit. Let's just say that.
Oh boy, I'm not ready. All right, what do we have? Oh my god! All right, I gotta move my my camera a little bit because I can't read this. All right, Gulavig of the Nordic Ascend. Ascendant. It is a Link 1. So I'm like I said, I play a lot of Edison, but I know what link summoning is because I do watch some other content creators like FarfMBT and stuff. So I am familiar with the link summoning mechanics. So link arrow pointing left means that once you have this thing in your extra EMZ, you can only summon additional link monsters to the zone that the link monster points to.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
It's
and
link 1.
pendulum summon it out of your extra deck into those zones as well. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the material, it's 800 attack, by the way. Link monsters don't have defense. And the material is a level 5 or lower Nordic. Okay. So we just saw that with the level 3. So the level 3 can special a dude, and then you can link this, and then you still have the other material in play. So that's kind of cool. If this card is link summoned, you can banish up to 3 cards from your hand or field. And if you do, special summon that many Nordic monsters from your deck. Whoa! From your deck in defense position. Okay, that seems really powerful. If you do, special summon. I already read that. Also, for the rest of this turn, I lost my place. There's so many words. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters. Hold on, where am I again? Okay, you cannot special summon monsters.
You just lost your place. You can't lose your place back to back.
I know, except Acer monsters, nor normal summoners set any monsters. Okay, so link summon, you banish 3 from your hand or field. If you do, special that many Nordics from your deck. And for the rest of this turn, you can't special summon monsters except Acers, nor normal summoners set any monsters. Okay, cool. So if I have I link summon this, I have three in my hand, banish 3, summon 3 from deck. That's pretty sick because you can get tuners, and I'm assuming the Acers are synchros and yada yada. So that's kind of cool. You can only use this effect of Gullivig of the Nordic Ascendant once per turn. While this card points to an Acer monster, okay, that's kind of cool. Your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects. Also, monsters your opponent control cannot target this card for attacks. Let me read that again. While this card points to an Acer monster, your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects. Okay, so they can't target the Acer monster, and then monsters your opponent controls cannot target this card for attacks. I'm assuming this card is referencing the Gullivig and not the Acer monster. That's a lot. That's a lot of words. This is like Shahrazad level number of lines of text on a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It really is. Okay, so let's run this down one more time. So I have a Nordic monster. I have a Nordic monster. I use that as link material for this thing. Summon it. Banish 3 from my hand or field, but I'm assuming you'd rather banish them from hand because sometimes the stuff on your field you want to keep extending with and yada yada. So banish 3 from hand, special 3 from deck in defense, but I can't special except Acer, and I can't normal summon or set. Well, I've probably already normal summoned to get this out, so that's probably not that big of a deal as far as the summoning condition. And then if it's pointing to an Acer, they can't target that monster with card effects, and they can't target the Gullivig for attacks. I mean, it's kind of tough, right? Because you need to have 3 in hand. Obviously, summoning from deck is kind of messed up, and I think a lot of the more powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I've seen have been ones that summon from deck. But having to have additional material in your hand is a little suspect. So it reads powerful, but maybe not as good as I think it is.
All right, are you ready to see an Acer monster?
Finally, let's go.
Crazy if I showed you this entire archetype and just never showed you an Acer, just straight up.
I know.
Straight up blue balls you on that one.
Well, I'm ready for the massive disappointment. We've gone through all of these Nordic cards that are all this build up to Acer, and you're going to show me this level 4 synchro that has 100 attack, and it's like when it's summoned, draw a card or something.
No, it's this one.
Thor. I mean, I know Thor is. Thor's kind of cool. Thor's badass. Thor, Lord of the Acer. All right, I had to count the stars. 4, 8. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 10-star Beast Warrior Synchro Effect. Okay. And I am familiar with synchro summoning. As I told you, I played a lot of Edison, so we do a lot of synchro summoning at Edison. It has 3,500 attack and 2,800 defense. So the immediate red flag here is 1 Nordic Beast tuner and 2 non-tuner monsters, which is requiring 3 materials is kind of a lot. Although, I guess going back to the cards we've seen, where like if you normal summon the level 3, special 1 from hand, link 1 off for Gullivig, banish 2, summon 2 from deck, that can get you to 3 materials. So, I mean, I guess maybe it's not as difficult as I think it is. So 3,500, 2,800. And then it says, once per turn, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. It's pretty good. Once per turn, no, it does not say. It does not say during either player's turn, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
It does not say during either player's turn.
Okay, so only during your turn. That's not as good, but keep reading. Once per turn, during the end phase, if this face-up card you controlled was destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can banish a Nordic Beast Tuner from your graveyard, special this card. When you do, you can inflict 800 damage to your opponent. And then we have an additional line of text here. And
yeah, text
not
doesn't matter.
exactly...
It's not supposed to have that. It's not supposed to have that.
Okay, all right. All right, fine. Never
You
mind.
can disregard the last line.
Okay. It's not actually unofficial text. Okay, good. Okay, so once per turn,
it'd be funny if I just gave you a fan art card.
I know, right? This is not the real Thor. This is budget Thor.
Yeah.
Thor at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. So that's kind of cool, but as we mentioned, or as I mentioned earlier, not being able to use it on your opponent's turn is kind of sketchy. So it's like really only like going first, you would almost never want to make this, right? Because you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. But if you can't do that on their turn, then like, you know what I mean? Like summoning this and passing is like, who cares?
Unless it's under the Ascendant and you can't target it and it's 3,500 attack. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's some kind of defense. It's just not like a negate or something.
Right, exactly. And that's like at least my, kind of my experience with watching like current format like Master Duel and stuff is it's a lot of building up boards that have a pile of negates, right? And this one doesn't necessarily accomplish that if you're going first. Now it is powerful because, like you said, if you make it under the Gullivig and it can't be targeted, that could be powerful. And then once per turn during the end phase, if it was destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard this turn, so it says destroyed by your opponent's card. Does that also mean destroyed by battle?
Yes.
Okay. And sent to your graveyard this turn, you can banish a Nordic Tuner from your grave and special this card. Okay, so it kind of has some protection where if like you synchro this out, even if they can kill it, then you can just, banish the tuner and get it back, which is kind of cool. And then you inflict 800. I'm sure that probably doesn't matter too much. I guess small burn comes up from time to time, but that seems like a kind of an afterthought on this card. I don't know. I like this card. It seems like a card that's probably better going second than going first. Although, like I said, it does have that protection, which is kind of cool. So it's like you make this thing, even if they can out the 3,500, then you can banish the tuner, get it back, and it seems kind of powerful. I kind of like it.
All right. Well, now that's it for the Acer/Nordic archetype. It's time for you to see the second archetype.
Okay. Alrighty. Legendary Fire King Ponix. Okay. I have not seen any of these Fire King monsters. I have heard that, I've heard of them and I've heard that people have been playing them a little bit, but I have not seen any of them. So this should be pretty interesting. It is a level 1, 500 attack, 200 defense. It's a Winged Beast effect. It says if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay. If this card is normal or special, you can add a Fire King spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. During the next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effective legendary Fire King Ponix once per turn. Okay, that seems interesting. Maybe kind of the starter, I guess, as it were, for the archetype, but we'll have to see what the rest of the archetype looks like.
And speaking of the rest of the archetype, we have this one coming up next.
We got here Fire King Sanctuary. Okay. Continuous spell card. Says when this card is activated, you can place a Fire King Island from your deck face up in your field zone. I hope we're going to see Fire King Island at some point because I don't know what that card does.
No, we're not going to see Fire King Island.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Should I? Do I need like? Oh,
we're gonna
okay.
see it.
All right, you trolled me. I see. All right. So activated, you can place a Fire King Island from your deck in your field zone. Once per turn, if a card in your field zone would be destroyed, you can destroy a fire monster in your hand or face-up field instead. Okay, that's kind of cool, because if they go to blow up your field spell, you can pop something in your hand instead, or, oh, you can actually, this procs the first thing, right? Because the first thing said if it was destroyed.
Yep.
Is that, I'm assuming that works, right? Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm with you. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves XYZ, a Fire Xyz monster using only Fire King monsters you control. It's you can hold on, let me read that again. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves Xyz summon a Fire Xyz using only Fire King monsters. You can only activate one Fire King Sanctuary. So I mean, this card seems pretty good, where it's like you get redundancy on your field spell, and then if they go to blow up your field spell, you can proc your first guy, and then you can also Xyz summon on their turn, assuming that the Xyz are good, which hopefully I'm assuming we'll get to see an Xyz monster, but this card reads pretty powerful.
This is going to be our bonus card of this archetype. I am going to show you Fire King Island.
Ooh, this is the one that we can activate for free. So field spell, Fire King Island. If this face-up card in the field zone is sent to the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters you control. Well, I don't want that to happen. You can only use one of the following effects of Fire King Island once per turn, and only once that turn. During your main phase, you can destroy a monster in your hand or you control. If you do, add a Fire King from your hand, or from your deck to your hand, rather, excuse me. And then if you control no monsters, you can special a Fire Winged Beast type monster from your hand. Okay, so the first effect being a massive downside, obviously, if it's destroyed or banished, destroy all monsters you control. That sounds kind of bad, but it is nice that the continuous spell does protect the field spell, so that's kind of cool. And then you can only use one of the... Okay, so you can only use one of these effects each per turn, not both of them. So you can either destroy something in your hand or you control, add a Fire King from your deck to your hand, or if you have no monsters, you can special a Fire Wing. Okay, so you can either add or special summon. That seems kind of cool. Okay, I'm kind of digging it so far.
All right. So since that is bonus card, you are going to be seeing 6 cards in this archetype. The next card is this one.
We have Garunic's Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings. This is a Xyz monster. Looks like 8 level. Are those levels? What are those like technical term for those? They're not levels, right? Because these Xyz monsters don't have levels.
They're ranks.
Ranks. Okay. So it is a rank 8 Pyro Xyz effect. Has 3,000 attack and 2,000 defense. Materials are 2 or more level 8 monsters. Okay, so 2 level 8s, or 2 or more level 8s rather. If this card is Xyz summoned, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. Seems pretty powerful. Blow up your opponent's board like that. You can detach 1 material from this card and target a spell or trap on the field, destroy it. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack. Okay, so detach material, MST, that sounds pretty cool. Gain 500 attack, like that. If this card is destroyed while it has material, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had. You can only use each effect of Garunic's Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings, once per turn. So summon it, destroy all of the monsters, and then you can either detach materials to pop spell or traps, or keep materials. I'm assuming you'd want to keep materials for kind of the second ability, where if it's destroyed while it has material, you get that many Fire King monsters. Okay, this seems pretty good. I like this one.
Yep. And this is the one that you can make on your opponent's turn too, so that also has a little bit of extra pizzazz to it.
Right, with the continuous spell, because the continuous spell lets you make it on their turn, and they go, okay, yeah, no, this is all. It's all making sense now.
Now we're gonna, since this makes 2 level 8 monsters, let's look at a couple level 8s.
Yeah, because the only one we've seen before was the level 1.
Yep. And you're
Duder.
like, I only saw level 1s. What is this level 8 thing? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's look at this one.
Can we increase the level 1s, level 2 and 8? All right, we have Fire King High Avatar Kieran. This is level 8, 2,400 attack and 200 defense. Don't want to summon that thing into defense. That says Beast Effect. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can destroy one other fire monster in your hand or face up field. Okay. And if you do, special summon this card. So it's just, you can destroy other. Okay, cool. So you can just pop a monster in your hand, special this 8. All right, cool.
Yep.
That's pretty powerful. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard, except itself. Then you can destroy one card in the field. So, okay, if I have 2 of these in hand and I pop one of them to proc the other one. Oh, but it says except itself. So you can't actually do that then, right? I'm assuming. Yeah, that would probably be a little too good.
I mean, you could attempt to do that, but it just won't proc the other effect.
Yeah, right. Okay. You can destroy one card in the field. You can only use each effect of Fire King High Avatar Kieran once per turn. I mean, just being able to pop a card from your hand and special this 8 seems pretty good. Because I'm assuming the goal of this deck is probably get the continuous spell, try to exceed the dark hole on their turn, but you need to pass with level 8s to be able to do that if you're going first. So seems pretty good to just free special level 8. I think this one seems good.
All right, let's go ahead and go over to the last card in the Fire King archetype.
We got here Sacred Fire King Garunix. We have another level 8 here, 2,700 attack and 1,700 defense. This thing has more words on it than Gulavig, so we have to get some more.
I ranking the cards by words.
Yeah, I know. I feel like at this point during the show, I've already placed 3 new orders for glasses. So you're testing my mettle here. So we have a Wing Beast effect. If your monster that was okay, I got to zoom in a little bit to take a look at it. If your monster that was originally fire, enhance, is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Okay. Wait, if it was there when... Okay, that wasn't it. If you can special summon this card from your graveyard, if it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand, even if not. DJ, run that back. Okay, hold on.
You can't even get past the first sentence. No.
All right, if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, parentheses, if it was there when the monster was destroyed, end brackets, or hand, brackets, even if not. Okay. I still don't really get it, but...
You want to try again?
This card is normal... Yeah, we're going to be here all day. If this card is normal or special summoned, you could destroy a fire, beast warrior, or winged beast monster in your hand, deck or face-up field, except Sacred Fire King Garunix. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the destroyed monster's attack it had there until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Sacred. Okay, cool. I get it now. Okay, so you're you chain something or whatever, and then that's chain link 1, and then maybe a couple chain links later, you end up popping this as part of a different card effect. But then when this goes to resolve as the initial chain link 1, even if it's not in your hand, it's still special summons.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's why it says even if not.
Got it. Okay.
Does that
kind of makes more sense?
Make more sense? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's I was confused at first by the brackets, but now that you're kind of explaining it that way, it makes a little bit more sense. I think this card's good. Hard to say exactly. I mean, it is, a level 8 fire that can potentially special summon itself, but I feel like it seems pretty good.
So this is it for the Fire King archetype. What are your thoughts about this archetype as we go on to the next one? Like, how do you think everything works together? Like, do you think you can actually pull it off? Like, what are your thoughts about this one?
So the payoff being Xyz monster that dark holes on your opponent's turn seems pretty powerful, But it does seem, I don't know, I guess it would kind of depend on how easy it is to get those level 8s in rotation, where, because like you do need the two, I'm assuming you need the two level 8s on your side of the field to be able to proc the dark hole Xyz monster on your opponent's turn. But I mean, if that payoff is easy to get there, if there's, well, I'm sure there's other searchers, because I'm pretty sure that as far as with new TCG and stuff like that, there's just a ton of, it's basically just like all demonic tutors kind of thing, where it's your entire deck just searches your engine. So if you can get two level 8s into your hand, it seems like it could be pretty good, if assuming that's easy to accomplish.
I mean, you've already seen like 3 out of these 6 cards have been demonic tutors, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Toponics demonic tutors the sanctuary, right? And then the sanctuary demonic tutors the field spell, and then the field spell demonic tutors another Fire King monster.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not wrong.
It does seem pretty good. It does seem pretty good.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the last archetype.
Plunder Patrol. What do we got here? We have White Beard, the Plunder Patrol Helm. It does, in fact, have a white beard. It is a 4-star Fiend Tuner effect, 1500 attack and 1000 defense. It's got a lot of text. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can special summon 1 Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. So you kind of have to play with their attributes, I guess.
Yep.
And if you do, equip this card you control to it. I'm assuming to it means the extra deck monster, right?
Yes.
Okay. If this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can activate this effect. Special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck, except Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Plunder Patrol monsters. You can only use each effect of Whitebeard once per turn. Okay. So during your opponent's turn, you can special, depending on what attributes they have, and you equip this to it. And then if you destroy it, if the card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, special 1 plunder from your deck. Okay, it seems kind of cool. It's weird though, because it depends. It's relative to what attributes they control. So I'm assuming that your extra deck would have to have a bunch of different attribute Plunder Patrol monsters, and I'm assuming we're going to see some of those.
Yep, for sure. We're going on to the next card, which is
Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide. Okay. Now, was the other one also water? The other one, yeah, these ones are both water. Okay. So I guess your attributes don't matter. It's only their attributes. Never mind. So this one is not a tuner. This one is 4-star, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, Fiend effect. Can target a Plunder Patrol monster in your graveyard except itself. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. Okay, so you target a plunder in your graveyard, you summon Black Eyes, and you get back the other plunder, which seems kind of cool. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except Plunder Patrol monsters. Okay. If this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can target a Plunder Patrol monster card in your spell and trap zone, special summon it in defense position. Wait, DJ, run that back? One more time. Hold on. If this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the grave, you can target a plunder in your spell and trap zone. Oh, because the first one equips.
Mhm.
Okay, got it now. So the first one equips to spell and trap, then this one can summon that one back to the monster zone. That's kind of cool. Okay. You can only use each effect of Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide, once per turn. Okay, those cards kind of work pretty well together. You get the first one, you equip it, then you have this, and you special summon. You get like that monster. You special summon one from your spawn trap zone. That seems kind of cool. Okay, I'm vibing.
Moving on to the next card.
Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. Okay, so this one is this one's water. So 2 monsters, including a Plunder Patrol monster. It is a Link 2, pointing down left and down right. Fiend Link effect, and 1600 attack. Has a quick effect. Says you can target 1 effect monster you control special summon a Plunder Patroll monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I want to go back to the first one real quick. Does this one also count the graveyard? Controls or in their graveyard. Okay, so I'm guessing that is a common theme in the plunders, is it counts what's on their field and their graveyard.
Yeah, it takes booty, like it plunders them.
Okay, I got it. Okay, that's the vibe we're going for. I got it. Okay,
It's
in
on
your
brand.
graveyard, and if you do, yeah, it is on brand. Kind of get that booty. Equip that target to it, then draw one card. You can only use this effect, Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain, once per turn. Okay. So similar to the first one, where you can target or use special from your extra deck, the same attribute as one your opponent controls in their graveyard, but this one also draws a card. I don't think the first one drew a card. So similar effect to the first one, but this one draws a card. Okay. So it's the vibe that I'm getting is they all kind of special based on what attribute your opponent has or is in their graveyard, and then you also equip that to the monster. But I'm curious, and maybe you're going to show me a card that has a reason for this, but I wonder what the other payoff for having stuff equipped to it is besides the second one that specials from the spell and trap zone.
All right, next up we have this card.
Fusion Plunder Patrol Ship List. We'll go with list.
No idea.
It is 4/8. We'll go with the Nikachu 8 Dragon Balls. Classic.
Yeah, let's go. Doomwake says Dragon Balls.
Nikachu,
it's coming full circle.
Nikachu reference. 2000 attack, 2000 defense. It is a Fiend Fusion effect. The materials are 2 Plunder Patrol monsters, but the materials probably don't matter that much if we are specialing it with the abilities, right? Because you just summon them without the summoning conditions. Right. So the fact that it's a light matters, because lights. I'm from my experience playing, lights and darks are kind of the two most common attributes. So light probably is the most important part about this card. And then the effect is, during the main phase, quick effect, you can special a plunder from your hand or face up spell and trap zone. Okay, so there we go. That's more payoff for when you equip, you get to special those. Okay, that's kind of cool. And that's during the main phase quick effect. So you can do it on your opponent's turn too.
Yeah.
When your opponent activates a monster effect, another quick effect, you can discard a Plunder Patrol card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. That's kind of cool, just a negate for monsters. Then, if this card is equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can add a Plunder Patrol from your deck to your hand. Ooh, okay. So you go, use one of the other ones, special summon this, equip that to this, then they activate a monster effect. You can discard, and if you still have something equipped, you get to search. Okay, so it kind of fulfills itself after you negate the monster effect.
And then if you discard a Plunder Patrol card, it's considered to be sent to the graveyard, and then the sent to the graveyard triggers happen.
Oh. Yep. Okay. Yeah, because I think it was the first one we read, had an effect that says when it's sent to the graveyard. Okay. I'm getting the
some
second
vibes.
One also
these
does. Seem
all
cool.
The Plunder Patrol monsters have a if it's sent to the graveyard effect.
Okay. Yeah, I like these. These are cool.
Might make you want to play them in Master Duel a little bit,
Yeah, I was telling James before this. This is like we were going through a lot of archetypes. This is one of the few that I haven't played on Master Duel before, so maybe I'm going to go craft
give it a shot.
Some Plunder Patrol cards.
This last card is really interesting too, so I'll have you read this one. Mind you, it's probably the most words you'll read all video.
Plunder Patrol Ship Jord, or maybe it's Yord. I don't know. We'll go with Yord. Yord sounds cooler.
I think it's Yord.
8-star. Okay, Yord. We'll go with Yord. So it is a Fiend Synchro Pendulum effect. 1500 attack and 3000 defense. Wait, I don't think I've ever seen a Synchro and a Pendulum monster. I didn't even know they had these. What am I looking at? What the heck?
Yeah, this is a monstrosity for sure. There are a lot of them, but
generally these are probably going to have more words than your average card because they got 2 different text boxes.
Exactly.
Right. So, all right, let's go with the pendulum effect first. So it is the arrows. So it's 1 and 1. 1. That's the scale, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the scales. You can declare one attribute. Return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon a Plunder Patrol token, which is a Fiend level 4 attack 0 defense 0 with that attribute to both players. Okay, fields in defense position, you can only use this effect to Plunder Patrol Shipboard once per turn. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So you declare like whatever, you just pick a random attribute, because I'm assuming, remember, going back to the previous ones, you need your opponent to have a specific attribute to be able to summon whatever
Right.
type of monster that you want to from the extra deck. So getting to choose an attribute and give them a token of that sounds kind of cool. Okay, cool. So that's the pendulum effect. Now, I guess I don't know how often we can get it. We can scale it because it's an extra deck monster, and we gotta scale it somehow. But maybe the effect will have something along those lines. So the material is a tuner and a non-tuner. So it's pretty easy to summon, I would say. It's, I guess, what they would call a generic, right? Because it doesn't require a specific type of monster.
Generic.
So we have, if your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. Then, if this card is equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can special summon one Plunder Patrol monster from your deck. Okay, that's kind of cool. So they special summon. You can add a Plunder Patrol. Then, if it's equipped, you can also special a Plunder from your deck. Okay, that seems a pretty powerful effect. You can target a Plunder Patrol card in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and if you do, place this card in your Pendulum Zone. There we go. Because I was wondering, like, how are we gonna scale this if it's an extra deck monster? You can only use each effect of Plunder Patrol Shipboard once per turn. Okay, so you summon this guy. I'm assuming in defense, because he's only got 1500 attack. Probably don't want to summon an attack in defense. And then if they special summon a monster, you get to add a Plunder Patrol card, not just monster, and maybe there's spell or traps that are good.
There's a field spell I haven't shown you.
Okay. And then if it's equipped with the Plunder Patrol card, you can special another from your deck. And then, yeah, that's kind of cool, because then you can get the ones that have, okay, I see where this is going. Because then you can get one that also summons, then you could use that one to special summon another from your deck. Okay, I like this. This is pretty cool.
And also, really, I don't think you noticed this, but Black Eyes, the bird, is not a tuner, but Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm, the first one we read, is a tuner. I'm not sure if you noticed that.
Yeah, I saw the first one was a tuner.
Okay, so that's usually how you can make this through the Helm card.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, these cards are sweet. I like these ones.
That is it for the Plunder Patrol archetype. So with those three archetypes that I showed you, the Nordics, the Fire Kings, and the Plunder Patrols, what do you think that those fall into? One of them is good right now. One of them used to be good, but it's not anymore. And then one of them was never good.
Okay. So good right now, never good. Used to be good, but not good anymore. Okay. So good right now. Trying to think here. I'm going to assume, and maybe the Nordic fans can at me in the YouTube comments or whatever, but I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to assume that Nordic is the one that was never good. And if the Nordic fans, they're gonna come after me, but that's fine. I can accept that. The other two is where it gets a little bit more difficult, because again, I don't know the release dates of any of these cards. So as far as that is concerned, trying to think. As far as I like a lot of the Plunder Patrol ship cards, but it's kind of weird because they do sometimes require your opponent to have specific attributes. Although I guess Yord kind of fixes that, right? Where if you can get Yord into the Pendulum Zone, you can give them a dude and call a specific attribute. So that's kind of cool. I think I'm gonna go with Plunder Patrol ship is good now, and I'm gonna go with Fire King used to be good but is not good anymore. And I'm probably gonna get that wrong, but you're gonna tell me whether I'm wrong or right.
You are right about Nordics.
Okay, but that was the one that I assumed I was going to be right about.
You're wrong about the other two. You flip-flopped them.
Got it.
Plunder Patrol was in a deck that I believe topped a YCS or multiple YCSs. It might have actually won one when it was combined with a different archetype that I haven't showed you called Runics. But I think you might have heard of Runics before.
Vaguely, yeah.
Vaguely, okay. So there was a Plunder Patrol Runic deck that relied on playing the ships, because you can stop your opponent while you don't need a battle phase, and the Runic cards actually stop you from having a battle phase, and they also interact with your opponent. They can destroy spells, they can spells and traps, they can destroy special summon monsters, they can draw cards and everything. So it's a huge card advantage engine, and once the engine is going, it's pretty hard to stop the engine from going, because if they try to out the Link monster, the Blackbeard, you can like chain it and then put it in the spell and trap zone, draw a card, like all this kind of stuff. Also, if your opponent hand traps you, like with a Ghost Ogre or something, Ghost Ogre is Earth, so you can summon the Blackbeard regardless of whether you have the Yord, because they have an Earth in their graveyard already because they hand trapped you. There's another fire one that I haven't showed you, that if they Ash Blossom you, you can summon the fire one since there's an Ash Blossom in their graveyard. If they Effect Veiler you, it's a light monster, so you can summon the fusion monster since that's light. So like if your opponent tries to stop you, it almost like helps you sometimes with the Plunder Patrol.
Gotcha.
So that did top a
Yeah, because it counts
YCS.
the stuff in their graveyard.
Exactly.
That whole mechanic sounds kind of cool. Like that, I'm reading those cards for the first time. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. The only hang up with it, and the reason why it's not good anymore, is because once you get the ball rolling, it's really hard to stop. But the problem is getting the ball rolling in the first place through your opponent's interaction.
Yeah, true. It's like there's a lot of pieces that seem like they have to go in place, but it's like you said, once you have that engine going, it seems pretty hard to break up and stuff.
Yeah, very, very, very hard to break up once they have the engine going, because the monsters are like having their graveyard effects trigger to add cards back to their hand. They have the field spell that I didn't show you, but that card can bring itself back out of the graveyard by sending an equip card you control to the graveyard, I believe. All the equips happen, and you have like 3 equips on the board, and they some of them special summon, and you can search a card every turn. So it's like, and you can draw a card every turn with the Blackbeard. So like every turn you're getting like 5 extra cards in your hand. It's like a crazy amount of card advantage that is really hard to stop once the ball gets rolling. The problem is, like I said, getting the ball rolling in the first place. Whereas the deck that's good right now is it's really hard to stop the Fire King deck from doing what the Fire King deck is doing. You can stop the Ponyx with a card like Infinite Impermanence or Effect Veiler, but if you do that and you have a Kirin in your hand, notably the Kirin can quick effect destroy a monster you control to summon it. So you can kind of dodge a hand trap by killing your Ponyx in response. So you it kind of dodges what your opponent's trying to throw at you in a way, and then you can still get to your continuous spell that gets to the Fire King Island that keeps the ball rolling again. And it's also hard to kill the Fire King Island because Sanctuary, the continuous spells, actually protects the Fire King Island, and blowing up the board on your opponent's turn is absolutely asininely good. Some decks have...
I mean that part of the archetype seemed really messed up to me. It just like I wasn't sure how easy it was to get the 2 level 8s in play. That was my one hiccup of the archetype.
Yeah, I mean it's really easy. They combine this archetype with another deck, another card like Diabellstar with the Snake Eye cards. I don't know if you've heard of Snake Eye before. But there's a Snake Eye card that's level 8, and there's also a Snake Eye card that's level 1, and it like can summon the Ponyx back out of your graveyard and everything. There's a Link monster involved with it as well. It's basically 2 different archetypes together. You can play Fire King by itself, and it's still a really good deck. You can play Snake Eye by itself, and that's a really good deck. But also they've combined both decks because there's a level 1 and a level 8 that helps you make the Garunix Eternity Exceed. Also, there's even some decks that decided not to play the Exceed entirely because the Snake Eye cards are really good, and you might not even need to play the Exceed because the level 8 cards are also really good. Like Kirin's really good, Garunix are really good by themselves without even using the Exceed. But a lot of people are still playing the Exceed so that you can blow up your opponent's board on their turn. The cool part is a lot of these cards have when you destroy them effects. So you blow up the board, but then you trigger all of your triggers. And then you summon things back out of the graveyard, add things back to your hand, and you have a whole bunch of card advantage. Your opponent can't really stop you. Plus, there's like a kill combo in this deck as well that's through the extra deck that doesn't have anything to do with Fire King, just Snake Eyes, so I didn't show you. But, yeah. But this deck is really powerful, really resilient, and really the deck's only downside is your opponent having Dimension Shifter against you, which will exile your whole graveyard. It's basically like, having a Leyline of the Void, basically.
Right.
So if they don't Leyline of the Void like this deck is going to be popping off for sure. And the Nordic deck has never been good. They tried to make it good. In fact, the first few cards I gave you were like a new wave of support. with like
really?
the spell,
Okay.
the trap, the Nordic Beast, Gull and Bursty, and the Gullivig are all like new wave support for Nordics, and Nordics were actually a deck all the way back when like around the time where Max C was printed in the first place.
Okay.
That's when Nordics came out, and Thor, Lord of the Aesir, the synchro that you read, was in among those first batch of cards. If there was a new Thor card or a new synchro for the Aesir archetype that was printed, it would be crazy good probably. But this deck is a little bit too old. They tried to make new stuff that ended up not making the deck tier 1 at all ever. Still.
So really what that archetype is missing is just like you said, a big synchro, because Gullivig does read pretty powerful. The one that where you just like pop 3 and special 3 from deck. That card, when I first read that card, it obviously had 17,000 lines of text, but I mean, it read pretty powerful because then, they also can't target the thing that you summon off of it. So
yeah. So if Gullivig had something really good to go into, then it would be insane. But like, it reads insane. But
yeah,
if it got like 1 or 2 new cards, it could be competitively viable. Right now, just not.
So
and go ahead.
It needs Baron de Nordic instead of Baron de Floor.
It needs Baron. It needs Baron of the Aesir.
Yeah, Baron. There it is, Baron of the Aesir.
Yeah.
Konami, if you're watching this video, print Baron of the Aesir, please.
Konami, if you're watching this video, listen to Doomwake. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway, that's it for us today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. If you would like to be part of the show yourself, you can join my Patreon. The Patreon link is down in the description below. Doomwake, you were awesome. Thank you. You knew a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! You knew what pendulums were. I didn't have to explain those. I didn't have to explain pendulum summoning. Like, there's so many things I didn't have to explain to you. So you lifted some weight off my shoulders for this one. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks again for having me. Maybe next time I'll be a little bit more upfront with how much knowledge that I actually have. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to read some cards for the first time, and thanks again for having me.
I'll just give you a whole bunch of goat format cards next time, and you'll have no idea what those are.
Ooh, goat format. Tough. I love that one.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, sounds good. See you guys later. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, peace.